it's not always the disappointment in the thing that happened, it's the disappointment in the person who did the thing or who said it. What's good, everybody? It's your girl Amanda Speaks, and I'm coming back to you with another video. What's good, Bandy Squad? So first of all, if you're new to my channel, you haven't heard about Amanda Speaks, you haven't heard about Mandy Squad, duh. I know where you've been at, I don't know what's going on, but we're so happy that you made it to this video, made it to this channel. And if you want to be a part of this amazing family, all you have to do is hit that subscribe button right there, hit the bell button beside it so you won't miss any further videos. And without further ado, let's hop into this video. So guys, we're going to be talking about the topic, the danger of low expectation. And I know a lot of us, we be like, we don't have low expectation, we just don't expect much from people. We don't trust people like that. We don't set a standard for people like that. But the truth is that we have low expectation. A lot of us settle for a lot of things because of low expectation. A lot of us hinder ourselves from moving forward and from persons coming into our lives because of low expectation. And we're familiar with this saying of set your expectations low so you won't be disappointed. But that is false teaching. I'm sorry to say. You know, my parents always tell me to aim for the sky. You know, aim high. That's in essence saying let your expectations be high so that, and this is sometimes using academics, so basically they're saying aim for that A, aim for the A plus. So even if you get an A or A minus, your aim was still the A plus, so you're not too disappointed. And I kind of want to bring that over here right now, because if I was supposed to set my expectation to a C, I'd be like, you know, I'm gonna just set my expectation low, and I'd be like, I'm aiming for that C. If I was setting myself up and saying that I'm just going to expect the C, put my expectations low so I won't be disappointed, when I get that F2 or F3 for all my college students, my heart would break. And I'd be like, huh? So even though I had low expectations, the disappointment was even greater because it was even lower than I expected. So I just want to say for that, no matter how low your expectations are, there's always room for disappointment. And no matter how much you say to yourself, I'm not going to expect this from a certain person, or I'm not going to expect this from the job, or I'm not going to expect that, this, that, and the third, you still have room for disappointment. No matter how low your expectations are, there will be disappointments. However, some person would say that they never get disappointed, you know? And honestly, that's a lie. We're always disappointed in some way, shape, or form. In some area of our lives, we're always disappointed. What happens is that some persons may numb themselves to everything. They may say that I don't expect this from that person, so it's not gonna hurt me so much. That's a lie. It does hurt. It's just that a lot of persons have numbed themselves to such a pain, and they pretend as though it's not affecting them when it truly is. They pretend as though what you did not matter. But in their subconscious, it does. Because either they equate it to their value, they equate it to how you treat them, and they equate it to the level of friendship or relationship that they're involved in with that person. Because whether or not we want to believe it, we form our own expectations subconsciously. How we treat people is how we expect to be treated. And that ties in completely even with our love languages, even with how we're grown, our belief system. Expectations are natural. They are natural. And they're intrinsic. They're instinctive. You're going to have expectations of those around you because that's just a part of who you are. Which is why it's so important to be careful who we give titles to and who we ascribe certain things to, because once we start giving them a title, once we start thinking that this is the level that the friendship has reached or the relationship has reached, sometimes even without discussing it with the person, our expectations automatically increase. Because we're saying, okay, if you're my best friend, I don't expect certain things from you. So if you were supposed to do that, I'm automatically going to be hurt. I'm automatically going to say to myself, is this how you see me? Is this all I mean to you? Or is this the type of friendship that we have? And da-da-da-da-da. But did I communicate that with the person? Because sometimes we ascribe titles to persons without even discussing it. We don't ask persons, so what are we? And some persons find that question very I don't say disrespectful, but some persons find it disrespectful as they're not supposed to ask it. You're supposed to ask it because there needs to be clarity, so I know where to put my expectations. I know where to put my standards and my opinions and my hopes, because with expectations comes hope for something more, hope for something to increase, hope for the treatment that you are getting from this person to be better, the communication to be better, the type of relationship to increase, to be better. But if we don't ask the questions, what are we doing? What type of friendship do we have? How do you see me? How do you value me? Do you value me at all? Do you see me as a sister, as a brother, or do you see me as a friend? Do you see me as an acquaintance, a colleague? And we have to be so open-minded to be okay with whatever the answer is. Because a lot of us are putting ourselves in the friend zone when we're actually in the acquaintance zone. And a lot of us are expecting some things from some people who really should have just been in the pair, the colleague, but we have put them to this best friend, this sisterhood, this brotherhood that they never asked to be in. So questions are important, and if we don't ask them, we set ourselves up for disappointment. And going back to the point of even numbing ourselves to such an expectation, what happened is that we allow ourselves to operate at our lowest self. It's not that we have mastered how to not let things affect us to the degree that the person may have intended it to be. It's not that we have mastered emotional intelligence and knowing what to say, when to take on certain emotions, when to just leave it where it is. It's not that. It's just that we have been operating at our lowest self. We do not know how to communicate with people effectively. We do not allow ourselves to trust persons. We do not allow ourselves to have intimacy with both our friends, family, and or significant other, or spouse or partner, whatever. We don't allow ourselves to be vulnerable. We don't allow ourselves to grow. Because when I'm saying to myself, if I don't have any expectation, no disappointment, disappointments allow me to grow. The pain that I go through allows me to grow. It allows a different perspective. So if we're trying to say to ourselves that we're not going to get disappointed, we're also prohibiting ourselves from growing and maturing. Where conflict is necessary in life. And sometimes disappointments aid conflict. It aids in us maturing. It aids in us getting a different perspective. It aids in us realizing that what we've been building our life around, or who we're surrounded by, is wrong, and this perspective that we have right here needs to change. So we're operating at our lowest self. We're not moving, we're stagnant, and that can sometimes push us into this type of robotic motion, this type of depressive state where we're not living, we're just existing. And all of this comes from just having low expectations. You don't allow yourself to dream. You don't allow yourself to have vision, to have ambitions, and to strive towards it. And this kind of goes into another point that I have. When you have low expectation, you don't try. Some persons may develop the mindset of, why should I do this if they're not even putting out the same energy? Why should I do this if they're only paying me this much amount of money? Why should I extend myself this much when all I'm being left with is exhaustion? But what happens is that when we think like that, we don't try. We don't give off our best self. We're always operating on a low frequency. We don't allow ourselves to extend, to stretch. We don't allow ourselves to see beyond what we're used to. And that even comes for persons coming into our lives. We're so used to that low frequency that the bare minimum is okay for us. And even below bare minimum is okay for us. And that's dangerous. And I didn't really want to tap into relationship. But the truth is, when we have low expectations of who we're supposed to date, we accept anything. And attention does not mean that I care about you. Doing something for you does not mean that I love you like that. We accept the bare minimum because of our low expectations, and we think that the smallest thing that we get is the best. that's out there. And if we just accept this right here, we won't be disappointed. That's a lie. The bare minimum people still disappoint us. They still disappoint us because we have already cultivated an expectation, though it is still a low expectation. We've cultivated an expectation of that person, and what happens is that when they don't meet that expectation, even if it is the bare minimum, we're still disappointed. We're still hurt, and we tend to internalize things and automatically equate it to our value, automatically equate it to how people see us, when truthfully, sometimes it takes us raising our standards, it takes us raising our expectation for us to realize that we were far more, and still we are far more than what we were accepting before. And then what happens is that when something greater comes, and when someone decides to show you what you've been missing out, or extend themselves more than what you've expected or experienced, or if something requires more of you, what we tend to do is either push them away, we think that there's some ulterior motive, or we say to ourselves, this is too hard. They're requiring too much of me. Like, that's too much. You're doing too much. It's not that they're doing too much, it's that you're not doing anything at all. Sometimes people come into our lives to help us, and we push them away because we don't want to be disappointed. We don't want to be hurt. Not realizing that it's not that they come to hurt us, it's because they come to illuminate the fact that we're not living up to our highest self. We're not living up to even the average standard. But we have such a low expectation of people. It's like we're expecting persons to disappoint us. That's the whole other spectrum, where we have such a low expectation that we don't think that we can actually get something good. We don't think as though life can actually get better and we can actually become better individuals. But because we're so used to this, if it happens, it happens. It is what it is. If a dirt, we're so used to this standard of living where we expect hurt, we expect to be disappointed, we expect that persons will not do as they say, and when they actually do, we're shocked. But we also don't want to raise our standards, because anytime we do that, we feel as though we're going to fall into a trap and we're going to get this explosion, or this, like the earth is just going to open up and we're just going to sink right in. Just, some of us are fearful of raising our expectations, because if we do, are we prepared for the hurt or the disappointment that's going to come with it? But I mean, in every pain there is beauty. In every hurt there is something to learn from. It's better you raise your expectations and know that you deserve better, and know that you are worth everything that's coming to you and everything that you expect from people, than you to have low expectation and be crushed to the dirt. Even going back to something I said before, where low expectation can kill and crush ambition. It can kill our desires and our vision, because when we don't have a certain expectation of where we want to go, we become the bare minimum. Not just accepting the bare minimum, but we become the bare minimum. We live a life that is safe, and it's not really safe. We live a life that is so monotonous, so just there. It literally is just going back to this whole existing thing, where you're not living life. You're just existing in this space, waiting for it to pass. And some of us have been in this state for so long that we don't know what it feels like to actually be treated right. We don't know what it feels like to actually have a high standard and somebody actually meet our standard. We're so used to coming down to persons' standards, or we're so used to just getting those persons who, them not really do nothing. They don't do anything for us. They don't help us grow. They don't challenge us. They don't give us different perspective. Nothing. They're just existing too. And we literally feel like two ghosts on the earth roaming. But in essence, what I'm saying is that low expectation hinders your growth. Low expectation causes hurt just the same. It's better to have high expectations and be hurt by them than to have low expectation and still somebody disappoints you. It's better to have your high expectation and somebody meets you there so that you can realize that, oh, this is not unattainable. It's just that it's very specific to certain persons. It's just as it would be just saying of women or men who have high standards about relationship and who they date. It's not that their standard is unattainable. It's not. It's just that it is appealing to a certain set of persons who are willing to meet them there. And that's okay. So guys, really in essence, don't have low expectation. Don't belittle yourself so much or feel as though you just deserve the bare minimum, and don't give bare minimum energy either. Don't operate at your lowest self. Don't operate in that low frequency. It gets you nowhere. It gets you nowhere, and you're only going to attract persons that are like you. Your strength is not in how much you don't let people affect you. It's not in how much you don't or cannot expect from someone or from people, or how much you don't expect from persons. Rather, it is how can I bounce back from all of this. Okay, you disappointed me, cool. How can I bounce back from that? What did I learn from that? You know, what does that tell me? Because a lot of times we get so caught up in the fact that we're disappointed that we don't learn from that disappointment. And the truth is, it's not always the disappointment in the thing that happened. It's the disappointment in the person who did the thing or who said it. A lot of times our expectation is on a person. It's on who they are in our lives, the value that they have in our life, the position they have in our life. So sometimes in those disappointments, you need to look and say to yourself, okay, what do I learn from all of this? You know, what's the reason? Why did this person feel the need to do all of that? And have a conversation. A part of having low expectation is that you don't want to talk. Like, in my opinion, you just don't want to talk. You don't want to communicate. Because in the back of your mind already, you're like, I knew it. I knew it. You don't want to grow. And that's the biggest thing. If you don't learn anything or you don't hear anything that I said, because in some ways I feel like I was kind of jumbled. But if you don't hear anything that I've said, low expectation hinders your growth as an individual. It hinders you from growing in every aspect. Every aspect. So guys, that's all I have for this video. I really hope you learned something. I hope it spoke some life into you. You know, I hope you could relate to some things. And if you could, ensure to comment down below. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Ensure to hit that like button because it really does a lot for me. It helps to spread the videos to who needs to hear it. And, you know, just get out our content. So yeah, that's really it, guys. Don't forget to subscribe if you're new. Become a part of Mandy Squad, because we're pretty lit over here and we keep it, you know, as they would say, humble, open, and transparent. We keep it lit over here. Like, we're very transparent and we discuss topics that bug us really and truly. And if you want to be more integrated or I don't know, if you want to be more involved in like topics that I do, or you have something that you want me to talk about, or you have somebody that you want me to collaborate with, your girl is up for collaborations just the same. Ensure to either comment them down below or follow me on my social media, because that's how I interact with some of you guys as well. So I think I've talked a lot. Anyway, so guys, I'll see you when I see you. Peace.